The summer movie season is officially underway with another Marvel debut kicking off the blockbuster period. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 brought in $114 million in its opening, setting a strong tone for more debuts ahead. Here to discuss the state of the box office and what to watch is senior Comscore analyst Paul Dergarabedian, along with Yahoo Finance's Ali Kanal. A big welcome to you both here. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I'm already all in no matter what comes out. But I want to first get your take on what we're seeing with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and expectations for moviegoers.
Well, the expectations are always high for Marvel movies, and Guardians of the Galaxy had a Sunday domestic estimate for the weekend of $114 million. Just breaking news now that the film has come in higher than that. It had a really strong Sunday response because the critics and audiences really are enjoying the movie. It came in at 118.4 million. The international number went up. So at the end of the day, for the weekend or for this debut for Guardians, $289.3 million global debut. Not bad, not a bad way to kick off the all-important summer movie season. Marvel has traditionally kicked off the summer for the movie industry and for theaters, and that's happening again. This is going to be a really strong summer. I think it's going to rival the pre-pandemic levels for summer box office.
So, Paul, I want to pick up on that because you mentioned the strong showing for Guardians. We also have the Super Mario Brothers movie continuing to add that momentum. If you had to pick one, maybe I'll give you two or three, the top performing movies this summer. What do you anticipate? What's going to blow our socks off?
There's a lot to choose from. I mean, if you look at Elemental, the new Pixar movie, Little Mermaid on Memorial Weekend, you look at July 21st, that's my weekend. I'm going to be at the theater at least a couple of times with Barbie and Oppenheimer both opening on that weekend. The lead into that weekend is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I mean, the hits just keep coming. You know, and The Flash, I saw that film at CinemaCon a couple of weeks ago. That's an amazing film from DC. They really need that reset, and I think that's going to do that for them. Fast 10 or Fast X, however you want to say it. That's another big movie on the way. So I just look at this as a blockbuster summer, the likes of which we haven't seen in a few years. I mean, last year was a really strong summer. Obviously, Top Gun Maverick really was a big movie for the industry on so many levels. But this is going to be a summer movie season that's going to have 20, count them, 20 more wide release films than we had last year. That's a lot of movies. So this is just, I think, a bevy of riches on the way at the multiplex. It's hard for me to answer you as to one or two films. There's going to be, Indiana Jones. How could I forget about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? So many big films to choose from.
And you raise a good point, because we do have so many more blockbusters this year, because I was struggling to find a whole lot that are worth going into the actual movie theaters for. When you want the big production, you know, that's when you go into the movie theater. But then you add streaming and people trying to sort of pinch some pennies here. How do you think that's going to play into the summer season?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think people base their decision whether to see a movie not on how much the ticket price is or how much it's going to cost really at the end of the day, because relative to other outside of the home activities, going to the movie theater is actually a bargain. Look at how many families have been going to see Super Mario Brothers film. That movie is over 500 million domestic, over $1 billion worldwide. So Super Mario, just showing that when families particularly want to get out of the house, going to the movie theater is a great option. I think it's an emotional response. If you see the trailer for Barbie or Oppenheimer or Mission Impossible, even though you have all those great options at home, and I, of course, partake of those myself, but really it's about that communal, immersive, outside of the home experience. There's really nothing quite like it. And I think Barbie is definitely a film to look out for. A lot of buzz going for that one. And just so many films. This is great news for movie theaters, because what you need to drive audiences to theaters is, guess what? Movies. And we have so many more of them this year. Overall for the year, according to our Comscore data, we're going to have 30 more wide release films for the year than we had last year. 30 more. We were down 41 films in 22 versus 2019. So it's all about the movies, getting them out there. on a uniform basis, more movies more often is my credo or my watchword, or however you want to say it, my mission statement for the industry for 2023.
Well, Paul, that being said, though, we are still about 20% below pre-pandemic levels. So 2 questions for you on that front. 1, how do we get there, if ever? Is this just a new standard? And 2, there's been a lot of talk of consolidation of movie theaters amid this slowdown and a move to a more, premium experience. So what are your thoughts on that as well?
Well, I think this has become a leaner, meaner business, and that means that this year, let's say we get to over $9 billion domestically. Typically, you'll get to $11 billion, $11.4 billion was the box office for domestic for the full year of 2019, $11.9 billion in 2018. This year, we're going to get to over 9 billion. Could we get to 10 billion? That remains to be seen. But if you have fewer screens chasing that audience and you're filling theaters especially like you said, with the premium large formats and those higher cost tickets, which I think are the go-to option for moviegoers. They're looking for that premium experience. I think this holds the industry in good stead. And whether or not we get back to 11 billion domestically or over 40 billion globally for movie theaters, I don't know that that's really the point. It's about how lean and mean. I overuse that, but it's true. Is the business, how efficient is it on a per theater basis, and filling seats and those premium large format or just premium experiences are what audiences are looking for. I think this is a great outcome for the movie industry, which had been beleaguered by the pandemic for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And now it's back at CinemaCon a couple of weeks ago, which is the big movie industry confab with all the theater owners and the studios and others. Everyone was super optimistic. I think it was people were saying that, optimism has given way to confidence. And I think that's a great way to state where the movie theater industry stands now.
And Paul, real quick, because you mentioned COVID, which was obviously a huge risk. Another risk, though, is the writer's strike. That's a big topic in Hollywood right now. Likely won't affect 2023, but real quickly, what's the chatter about potentially 2024?
Yeah, I mean, that's the long term. With movies, obviously, those have a long tail, long production schedules. All the movies that are on the slate for this year have presumably been written. But beyond that, that's the big question mark. And obviously, eventually, production catches up with or doesn't catch up with the release calendar, and that could be an issue. So we hope for everyone involved that gets resolved very quickly. But for now, we're looking at a really strong summer, again, one that could rival pre-pandemic levels for the summer box office. And that's really great news for movie theaters and for audiences who love going to the movie theaters. Really nothing like it. So I'll be there first in line for all these movies this year because I'm really into it. I love the movie theater. And this is a great outcome for the industry to have this many films. And if you look at the release calendar for the summer, it's chock full of big movies that are on the way.
Indeed. My 9-year-old is still raving about the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, there you
I
go.
didn't even think she'd like it, but she loves it. A big thank you there. Thank you for joining us, Paul Dergarabedian, Comscore Senior Media Analyst, alongside Yahoo Finance's very own Alexandra Canal. Thanks so much.